Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to the Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey Podcast, episode 286. Chris.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good
doing
evening.
Real good. Made it
Good
through
evening.
Thanksgiving, and now we're sitting down with a good friend of the show to do some recording and slide into the holidays, baby.
Yeah, how about that? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. It was a bunch of gluttony of great food and great company and turkey and stuffing and cranberry sauce and all the stuff that goes with it, and of course pie. It was
Homemade cranberry sauce or out of the can?
homemade, man.
Oh,
Everything
good.
was
Yeah.
homemade except for the pie. I cheated and went to Costco. I was in charge of pie. I went to Costco, got the pecan pie and the pumpkin pie.
Can't go wrong with those.
No, that's traditional Thanksgiving fare right there, and it was super, super good. So, and ended up celebrating up at my brother's place up in Los Gatos, and ended up coming home with a fair amount of food.
Did you pop any bottles?
I did. I brought a 2019 Page Mill Merlot. That was the one. But there were other bottles there already. I brought the bottle for the host and hostess,
Right.
and we drank that pretty early on. It was a really good drinker. Again, I'm a huge fan of Page Mill's juice, and we've talked about them numerous times on the show, and their stuff never lets me down, quite frankly.
No.
So
Does not disappoint. 5 stars would recommend.
yep. How about your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Good. Low key over in Truckee, Tahoe Donner area. And
Snow on the ground?
there was snow on the ground. It did snow on Tuesday. Light. The storm really petered out. We were hoping for a lot more, but it petered out. But everything was white. Ski resorts are open, and all is right with the world. But
Winter is in full swing.
yeah, we had a great dinner. There's just 8 of us. So my uncle Brian's he buys these turkey breast. So they're 5-pounders.
Uh-huh.
So he did 2 of them. So one we pretty much demolished during Thanksgiving, and then the other one we had for leftovers for the next day. So he smoked one on the Traeger. That's the one we had on Friday, and then used the Weber for Thanksgiving. And man, it was so moist and tender and good. And ham, yams, stuffing that was awesome. My mom made, and then fresh baked rolls. I did some sourdough with my neighbor a couple days before. Holy shit. I've never made sourdough bread before. And he's got a wood-fired oven as well. And
do you have a sourdough starter, or where'd you get
he had the sourdough starter that's like 16 years old. It started from an apple seed.
Uh-huh.
It's a whole nother podcast to talk about the starter. Yeah, so we made that, and then the next morning we fired it. Well, the pizza oven was already going, and then just reheated it, baked the bread for, I don't know, about 40, 45 minutes. Oh my God, it came out so good. We had 2 big round loaves and demolished those over the 4 or 5 days at the cabin there.
And when they're warm and you put butter on them and just...
made garlic bread out of it one night. We did raviolis one night. So, good old antipasto's raviolis.
Oh, you can't go wrong with that.
No. So, yeah, gluttony.
Mom transported those up.
Lots of food. Good stuff. I brought, so I have my wine collection back with me here in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was digging deep for Thanksgiving. I found this bottle of Buccella, Buccella, small boutique winery in Napa, 2012. And I looked the thing up on Vivino.
Yeah.
$466.
That's all?
Like, geez, I should sell this stupid thing But we ended up drinking
hashtag
it. It was
Jason
really
money.
freaking good, but I don't think it was $466 good. I might have paid 125 for it or something, but oh my God, it was rocking. We had some Fernwood.
No, you can't go wrong with that either. That's
Yeah,
great
Cab and
winery.
Petite Syrah, Fernwood, and anyways, we opened up some good stuff. And of course, there was some bourbon flowing. We had some of the
Oh yeah.
Minden Mill Rye and regular bourbon going. Of course, Frey Ranch, Smoke Wagon.
All
Yeah,
the staples.
we had all the staples. We did not go hungry or thirsty. That was for sure.
No, of course not. Now, speaking of the sourdough, my wife made some sourdough bread from starter. We've had probably for decades, and she actually one of the loaves. I should have taken a picture before we started cutting it. Was she made it to look like a turkey?
Oh wow!
Had the wings and the thighs and the legs and everything. It was pretty freaking awesome. I was like super impressed. Brought that down and to the celebration also. But yeah, turkey
Nice.
shaped sourdough loaf.
Well, yeah. I can't believe Thanksgiving is here and gone. It was late this year, and so now,
Yes, it
guess
was.
what? We're in December already.
Christmas.
What the?
I know, December, boom. Black Friday has passed us, and now we're recording on a Sunday night, and Cyber Monday is just literally tomorrow.
Right.
And hopefully our listeners took some of the advice from the last episode and jumped in and made some purchases. Contacted Forever Wave and jumped on some of their deals. And I know I was talking to you the other day on Friday. I finally pulled the trigger on my e-bike, my electric e-bike.
Does that have big tires? Does it have the wide tires?
It does. It's got fat tires on it. Yeah, fat tires for a fat guy
in the desert.
So, me bopping down from Upper Hammertown Heights down to Hammertown, motoring around and heading into the pits and doing recordings will be a little bit easier this year for me. So
Chris is going to be ripping wheelies down down Johnson Valley there with Lorenzo in the front basket. It's going to be like E.T.
That's right. Oh, Jesus. There's a visual right there. Phone home.
There you go. Well, that'll be good. That'll be good. Better get a chain and a lock for that thing because we might be running that thing around camp at night.
I'm telling you, I pretty much expect it. So yeah. Anyway, like I said, Black Friday and Cyber Monday's tomorrow, and obviously things are in full swing for the holidays. You sent me some pictures just before we sat down to record of all the lights you put up around or outside your house. So you're all decorated up.
I started. Yeah, I got the lights around the house, which was much easier this year because last year was the first year and I had to put up some stainless steel hooks. So this year it was like everything was laid out, ready to go, zip. And then I added some lights to the front fence this year and I got a few more lights to put up. But yeah, it's cool. And then my landscape lights, I have, that was kind of my specialty when I was doing landscaping. And I've got these lights that change colors, so I got them all red and green in the front yard, and it looks pretty freaking cool, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Not
to be
bad
up there
for
next weekend and check it out.
Yeah, check it out, man. Come on up.
Check it out.
All right, let's get into some business so we can talk to our guest here.
Oh yeah, he's waiting very patiently, and we
very
certainly
quiet
appreciate
too.
that.
He's very well disciplined.
Like a church mouse.
So why don't you read reviews? I've got a couple voicemails here too, and I think one of them because it does. I don't know. This stupid AI is crazy now, but it kind of gives you a little preview, and I think one's from our buddy, the trucker albino sand squirrel.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I'll let you get into your reviews first.
Okay, perfect. Well, these reviews are from the Spotify platform, and I know that I've been kind of talking that up a little bit. It seems like a lot of actually looking at the statistics or what's the word I'm looking for?
Stats.
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
analytics. It
analytics.
seems like we have a fair number of listeners on Spotify. Of course, the number one platform is still Apple Podcasts, but I do not, as of right now, see any new reviews on Apple Podcasts. So let's just cut right to it. Got an episode from our buddies down under, Charles Locke, down in Australia. I'm not even going to try to make it to butcher an Australian accent because I'll get made fun of. So
Yeah, right.
But this is from Charles, and it's short and sweet. It just says, "Good episode, like the live music and the wine talk." So yeah,
Nice.
we've heard our listeners. We know what they want. They want to hear wheeling, but they also want to hear us talk about wine and bourbon and whiskey, which is part of our title of the show. So hell yeah, we're more than happy to oblige our listeners. Just tell us what you want us, just what you want to hear, and we'll try to make it happen.
Right. Absolutely. We're here to please. We give till it hurts, Chris.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely 100% correct. So, and then I've got, this is from a friend of the show and a friend that we hang out with down at SEMA, at King of the Hammers. Anyway, he commented on the SEMA episode. This is from Chris Horton with a who.
Horton.
Smurf Blue,
the outdoorsman.
Blue Toyota. Is on, I guess it's running 1 tons now, huh?
Wontons in his Toyota, and he linked and coiled it. It's badass. I haven't talked to him in a while. We've kind of been messaging back and forth on IG, but
he's too busy skiing right now.
Well, he's been hunting. He's been skiing. Guy's an outdoorsman. I love it, and he sleeps in a teepee at KOH. So,
and with a wood stove.
Horton, I got to give you a call, man. I owe you a phone call, and let's reconnect here.
Yep, for sure. So here's
now that the slopes are open.
That's right. So here's what he wrote. It's a pretty long review. It's actually to me. It says, "Hey Chris, sorry I haven't commented for a bit, but it's your fault. You turned me on to Podcast Addicts, and we can't comment on that platform." Well, you're absolutely right. You can't. Tell everyone to get on Spotify. Spotify is way better anyway. If I want to revisit a segment of a specific episode, Spotify has a show in labeled chapters. Yes, it does. That's super cool. Anyway, Jason, snow is here. Look me up, and thanks for convincing me I don't need to go to Vegas.
Here it is.
So that's from our buddy Chris Horton.
Perfect.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Go. That's the 2 I have right now. So that concludes our reviews for this week.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for writing in. If you haven't
sent a review in, write one in. You can do it on the Apple Podcast platform and, of course, on Spotify.
That's right. All right. Let's get into the voicemails here. This one is a minute and a half. You ready?
Yep.
Let her rip. Ready for this. Let's see.
Hey there, Jason, Chris. This is Cody, albino sand squirrel, raping your earwaves once again. I messed that up. What to do? This time I am stopped, so hopefully the cell signal doesn't go to shit. But I listened to your guys' last podcast about hump and biz hump, as I call it. I actually did that one time back when I lived in Las Vegas. That was a cool event. For anyone who lives in Las Vegas or the surrounding areas, it's highly recommend that event. 69 stars out of 69 stars, if you ask me.
Wow.
I actually know a guy who is a big player in that. He has a Jeep called Upgrade, spelled with a Y. His name's Cameron. He's a cool dude. I don't know if you listen to this podcast, but if he does, hello.
That's cool.
And referring to the whole, you guys said you'd like to have me on. I'd love to be on your podcast for sure if that ever works out. I go all over the Western states. I go to Reno via, through north through Las Vegas and stuff like that once in a while. So maybe that can work out. If you got a place I could park an 18-wheeler. Or if you guys happen to be in my hometown in or the place I live now, Kingman, Arizona, ever happen to go through there, that works too. Also, I assume you can see my damn phone number. You can call me. I don't care if you feel so inclined. But I'll also train of thought. Tends to happen every time I goddamn call. I don't know, brother, but it's awesome. Loving your off-road stuff and also about SEMA. Hell yeah, brother. God bless. Hell yeah.
What the hell just happened there? It's you have just the speed hit. I don't know.
I think so. I think there's definitely some trucker no-dos going on there or something. He is fucking hilarious. So good, man. Always appreciate you calling in, Cody. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it, man. If you're cruising through to Reno, let me know. I'd love to do a live podcast, in-person podcast with you. That'd be hilarious.
That'd be a hoot.
All right, that's awesome. Never disappoints, Cody Sand Squirrel, albino sand squirrel.
That's right.
All right. I wonder if they don't use CBs anymore. Do they? Do they still use CBs? Maybe that's the CB
I think
handle.
they do use CBs, but a lot of them are doing ham radio now, I think, or
I would imagine.
GMSR or RSM.
Or just cell phone.
Yeah, cell phones. They have those headsets on all the time.
All right. Here we go. We got another one here.
Hey, this is Beer Craig. If you listen to the correct podcast, you may recognize the name, or not. I'm not anymore. But I just have to say, I would like for you guys to show some respect. His name is not Rover Don. It's Toyota Don. So, in the future, if you could please correct that, I would really appreciate that. Also, I would leave a 5-star review, but I can't get a sticker, and so I only do things for monetary gain or sticker gain in this thing, so I'm not going to leave it. But 5 stars, but listen, Jeep suck. Thank you. What am I doing here? I'm so confused.
Okay, it wasn't Beer Andy. Don't get confused with Beer Andy, because Beer Andy is like super cool, calm, cool, collected. So this is Beer Craig. It's a 918 area code. Where is 918? Lorenzo, wake up. Find out where 918 is. Oh, shit. He's rushing over to the computer. All right.
Oklahoma.
We'll see. Oklahoma. Good job, Lorenzo. Okay. He said Jeeps suck.
Okay.
And he's Rover Don. It is Rover Don. Why are they calling him Toyota Don? Did he buy a Toyota that we don't know about?
No, he's got a Jeep. No, what?
He started a podcast, Rovers at Night, After Dark, or some shit.
Right.
Rover Don, call in, defend yourself. We always love hearing from you. And I have listened to a couple episodes, and I've got some critiques for you. Not that we're experts.
No, well, we're not really, actually. I mean, we're only 286 episodes. Well, that's 286 numbered episodes.
Oh, God. So, anyways, yeah. Well, thanks for calling in.
Absolutely.
I think he gave us 5 stars, but I'm not sure. I wasn't real sure about all that.
Well, if you want a sticker for non-monetary gain, reach out to the IG and DM Jason there, and we'll get you a sticker.
Yeah, there you go. All right. We got rid of all the housekeeping bullshit.
Yeah, I think so.
We do love hearing from our listeners, though. It is not bullshit. It actually keeps us going, because there was a few dark days there that I was ready to pull the plug on this podcast, and somebody wrote in and says, I listen to you guys every week driving to work, dropping my kids off at school with earmuffs so they can't hear what you guys are dropping the
F word and the S word and the C word. Oh, we never say the C word.
No, don't use that word. That's not good.
No,
anyways,
that's where we draw the line.
So without further ado, let's you got anything else, Chris? We're good, right?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I gotta ping the guest to wake him up. He fell asleep on us.
Oh, okay. Yes. So that tends to happen at the beginning of the podcast here, but he's got a beverage. No stranger to the podcast. It's been on here. It's been a hot minute, though. It's been a while since he's been on, and he's got he always has stories to tell. But we're coming up on KOH here. By my account, it's like 59 days before we're on the lake bed, Chris.
That's right.
Now that I know they got motos going on, it's a 3-week ordeal and all that stuff, but I got 59 days till we're on the lake bed, which Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I gotta get tires for the buggy. I don't know. I might be just bringing the golf cart this year. I might golf cart it. You're bringing the electric bike. I'm gonna golf cart it. We're gonna totally just change it up this year.
What the hell? Why not?
Why not?
And let's stay at Lasertown too. Let's kick it up a notch.
Yeah, fuck yeah! I'd love to stay at Lasertown.
Park right next to the bonfire.
Invited us, but our group's too crazy and big. I don't think he'd want us.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure we'd fit right in.
But anyways, without further ado, the one and only right seat Ultra 4 Escort, Chris Rea. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, guys. Thanks for having me on. Quite the intro. And
yeah,
it's the
there
wrong
you go.
seat. It's not the right seat. It is the wrong seat, according to Randy Slauson.
I know. That's right. But you were on before, and let's get everybody back up to speed. If they don't remember who you are, they should. I know most of our audience knows who you are, but you have right-seated for a lot of people over the years, notable drivers and different rigs. I think so. Where you, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but you pretty much right-seated in every class at King of the Hammers.
Correct. Last year, because of Trent Roberts and the whole TWC racing crew putting in a huge effort, I actually got my finish in the UTV class, and so now I'm one of the only people, potentially the only person, I don't know, I haven't really dug into it, that has a official finish in every active four-wheel drive class that has more than 3 competitors. I haven't finished EV because I haven't raced, but like there's one, maybe 2 people that compete in the EV class, and then they just released the military class that had the one competitor last year.
Brandon from SXOR.
Exactly. So once they start getting, more competitors, then I'll probably have to find a way to get a finish in those classes too.
There you go.
But yeah, like I said, because of Trent Roberts, I got my UTV finish. We got 7th in class, 34th overall. I've got a finish in 4,400 with Tony Pellegrino. I've got a finish in 4,900 with Jeremy Jones, all top 20. And then I've got a 3rd place in 4,500 with George Evans. And then the coup de grace, the feather in my cap, is 1st place in 4,600 with Jesse Combs.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's super cool. Yeah, we did dive deep into that. Chris will put in the show notes the last episode you were on, but it has been a couple years, I think. But yeah, Jesse Combs, man, what a special deal. And I mean, I'm sure you really enjoyed it during the time, but I mean, you got to look back and kind of cherish those moments that you had with her at KOH, and then just being in the same car with her, and the that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, the really fun part was all of the non-race stuff that we got to do. And, because we were friends outside of KOH and everything like that, being able to be involved in her life in small portions, one of my favorite videos that I have on my phone is her in 2017 New Year's leading up to, we were out at the ranch and just hanging out with her. And at the time, she loved to do this thing where it was like emojis, where you basically record your face and it puts an emoji, and like she had one that she used to send everybody that was a unicorn. And I still have it on my phone, and I listen to it just because I can hear her voice and smile and remember the good times.
That's cool. And, that is one of there's many positives of being in 2024, but everybody having a phone that can record video and photos, and to be able to bring that stuff up now at a moment's notice, that's pretty cool, because back in the day, it was like, if you even caught it on film, it was, a VHS tape or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the first people. I had a digital camera when I started going out to the Hammers in 2003.
Yeah.
And I actually have, documentation of Carnage for the Cause, which was the first time that I met Dave Cole.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah.
That's pre-King of the Hammers. I mean, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I started hanging out with Dave. The first time I met him was Thanksgiving 2020 or 2003, so 21 years ago. And then we really started hanging out when he was competing in the last season of Cal Rocks in 2004. And I used to just be a hang around with rest in peace, Retod, who passed away about a month ago, and Lamoron and John James Detoy, Bender, just all the Tin Bender guys, and obviously the grandfather of Maul, Krusty, rest in peace to him. But yeah, it was 2003 when I started hanging out with them, in 2004, and the lore is there was about 7 of us around a campfire sometime 2005, 2006, when the first talk of 24 hours of the Hammers was happening. And it was going to be all 7 original trails. And it was literally, we thought it was going to take us 24 hours because we were in, Formula Toyotas on leaf springs and, that kind of stuff.
Old school.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, that doesn't sound that long ago to me, but it was 20 fucking years ago, 21 years ago. And, you look at the evolution of the vehicles back then to now to, the shears and, stuff that are just putting out some ridiculous vehicles. Man, that's cool.
Well, I mean, you think about the fact that the trail, one of my favorite trails, if not my favorite trail, is Outer Limits out at the Hammers. Mm-hmm. And it's called Outer Limits because it was basically the backside of the moon. Nobody went there. It would take you 2 hours to get from the lake bed to the trailhead.
Right.
And then it would take you basically all day to get to just up Outer Limits. And then, it'd take you another hour and a half to get back.
If you weren't broken.
Yeah, exactly. And last weekend, or, basically yesterday, actually, I did down Spooners and up Outer Limits in less than an hour.
So
from Lasertown out to Spooners, down Spooners, up Outer Limits, and we would have been out the top in under an hour and a half.
In what rig?
Side by side.
A side by side.
So yeah, it's a really well built
rigs.
yeah, really well built X3. Riding with a guy by the name of Shabs Piercy from the UK. Who bought a car, a guy by the name of Jason back east. I don't remember the last name, unfortunately. Built the car, super competitive car, 35s, and it's like, that's what we ran 20 years ago. Is Toyota on 35s was big tires.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
But
and
now
it's damn near the same wheelbase.
Yeah. And you got 20 inches of wheel travel at each corner or more.
Man.
Right.
And they just scoot, and we did all of it without the front locker on the whole time. And it's just like, how did side by sides get that advanced in essentially? So I remember, what was it? I think it was Jagged X was the company. Mike, I think was his name. I was still a chief tech inspector the first time that a side by side wanted to race with an Ultra 4. And it was 2000 and, it was at Glen Helen, either 2010 or 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about like what a Rhino 600 used to be, or
right.
The original Polaris's that was the Polaris Ranger Razor, and it still had the dump bed, and they're on 27-inch tires.
Right.
It's like taking a Kawasaki Mule out there or something.
Yeah. And now 11 years later, we got one that's competing to be the number 1 contender at King of the Hammers.
And
in the
almost
Racing Kings.
won last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost, but almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and atom bombs.
Oh, and
because I almost got you.
Well, look at the one of the finishers for King of the Hammers last year. He had broken suspension parts, and he was still motoring across the lake bed. I'm like, this is, the durability and the engineering that these cars, the abuse these cars can take is beyond what any of us had ever really expected, quite frankly. So
100%.
So,
and you think about the fact that it used to be, we wanted to emulate trophy truck drivers. And over the last, 5 years, still, you ask any Ultra 4 driver, if they could choose a trophy truck or an Ultra 4, almost every single one of them will still choose a trophy truck. But to know that our 4-wheel drive technology helped drive the new all-wheel drive Mason cars and everything else, that is just, that would have been unheard of. If you tried to tell somebody from 2004 that a rock donkey was going to help change the face of trophy trucks as we know it, they would have laughed at you.
You're right. So with that said, that's exactly what I was going to ask here. Coming up, it's like, it's all foresight, right? And Fagizzy sitting around a campfire bullshitting of this perfect rig. But when King of the Hammers first evolved, and like you say, I mean, running to the outer limits, just getting out there in a short order, and then going through the trail short order and back to Hammertown proper in a couple hours. If somebody said that back around the campfire in 2004, 2005, that you said you're full of fucking shit. But so that evolution, watching that evolution, Chris, what's kind of been like a takeaway for you, or an aha moment, or like, holy shit, this is crazy, seeing all these different vehicles that can now conquer these trails in minutes instead of hours?
I think I had my aha moment last weekend hanging out in Lasertown and staring at the Connex box that has all of the prior winners on it.
Yeah.
And I started doing and I know that we love Randy and I would never write him off as a contender, but we're getting to the point where IFS is the top, out of the top 20 drivers, 15 or 18 of them are in IFS cars.
Mm-hmm.
And those IFS cars are taking the beating that they used to not be able to take.
Right.
And it's no longer, Rick Mooneyham got second place at one of the last King of the Hammers that he raced with 7 flats. 7 flat tires, and he still ended up second place.
Yeah.
Like, you got guys that would lose a steering box and be down for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they'd still be in it for the win. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but
right.
So, I mean, thinking about the IFS cars, you got the Gomez brothers, you've got Campbell with his newer car. Of course, any of the Campbells, whether it's Whalen or Shannon or Bailey. But you look at the historical winners with solid axle cars like the Miller cars, and of course the Bomber chassis that Slauson and a number of other people race. Are you saying that the technical challenges of those cars, or the ability for the solid axle cars to make up time in the rocks, is kind of we're looking at the bygone days of that, or what are we looking at?
That's kind of exactly what I was getting at. Is you guys have talked with Jason Berger before, where they knew exactly how much time that they would lose in the rocks compared to Randy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing that time the last 2 to 3 years being lost in the rocks. Randy is still, and Eric Miller and Josh Blyler, and to be fair, besides the Schaefer car that Jason Shear won in, I don't know of a solid axle that wasn't a Bomber car or a Miller chassis that has won KOH.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're just at the point right now where the top, like I said, it used to be you had to have luck. You could have some breakdown, you could have a flat, you could have, something, change an alternator or power steering pump or something, and still be in it for the win. And I don't know if those days still exist, because there's so many fast guys that are just right there at the very bleeding edge of the race, that you're down for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and that's the race. It's 186 miles, and
right.
We're seeing guys win, like 2011, when Brad Lovell lost by 30 seconds to Lauren Healy. And you think about like the fact that 11, 12 years ago, we were still having 30-second, but now we're having Gomez and Shear come in less than a minute apart, over 180 some odd miles.
Yeah, and just pounding it out right then and there. I mean, these cars, the abuse they take and the ability for them to gobble up miles, and it comes down to horsepower and durability. Not just mechanical durability of the car, but the durability of the operator of the car.
And experience of the driver, right? I mean, you got somebody like Randy that knows that place inside and frickin' out, knows his car, builds his car, everything about that. So there's something there. And then, of course, there's the big luck factor that some stupid 10-cent part's not going to take you out of the race, like he's been experiencing before there. But, it's definitely the IRS is making a charge and proving a point. And Cody's car is a good example. I mean, fucking, state of the art, arguably one of the most sophisticated cars on the lake bed.
It's a freaking
why hasn't it won?
Dude.
Huh?
So I actually had a pretty in-depth conversation with the new navigator for that car last weekend, Mike Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, nothing against Cameron Steele.
Right.
Fantastic driver. Mike Kim and Brian Wood, the guys that ride with him, fantastic teams. But you have to have a driver that knows what 100% is and doesn't drive at that.
Okay.
Because if you have a driver that drives at 100% every single minute of that race, you're one bad bounce of
you're going down
40 miles of rock trails.
Right.
And the chances of that happening are not slim to none.
Right.
So to be able to have a driver, and I honestly think that Cody picking, or I don't know how it came about that Dan Fresh is in that car.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
But I will tell you right now, Dan Fresh had basically 0 rock miles when I met him in 2018.
Okay.
And he raced the Savvy 4500 the same year that I raced with Jesse in the 4600. Mm-hmm. And I got to go ride with him on one of those practice sessions leading up to KOH. And I only spent an hour with him, but that dude is a freaking wheelman.
Okay.
Who can, so I didn't realize this until I listened to his Chris Ridgway's episode with Big Rich Klein over on Conversation with Big Rich. Mm-hmm. But Dan Fresh is an old motocross guy, which explains why he can read the desert so well.
He can pick a line.
And so he reads the desert really well. He can pick his lines, and then he just has natural talent and he knows where 100% is the minute that he sits in the car and within the first 5 minutes of driving it. And he will be able to drive it at 90 to 95% and keep that car alive.
That's a good insight there. And
absolutely,
we've talked about it before here, car preservation and having some mechanical sympathy and stuff. But, knowing the car that you're driving, whether you built it or bought it or whatever, but having enough seat time to where you know that car intimately and knowing when you're pushing it too hard. And I like that, because, you hear a lot of drivers talk about, pre-running hammers and, they're just driving at 50% because they're preserving the car, but they want to pre-run in their car and learn the car, or they don't have the luxury of having an identical car to go out and pre-run in.
Exactly.
So that is a cool aspect that we've heard over and over again. It's like, okay, I'm going to pre-run at 50%. I'm going to drive this car at 90%, during the race. And then when I, if I'm chasing in it to win it at the end and it's checkers or wreckers, I'm full throttle, just making it happen. That's cool stuff, man.
Well, they're always
one of the best drivers. Sorry about that. One of the best drivers that I ever raced with that was just absolutely fantastic about that was Ben Napier. Or Nappy Hair, if you've seen the video.
Nappy Hair. It's the time of the year to watch that video.
It is. Yeah, I saw that Randy posted it. And if you guys reposted, if you guys haven't shared that on your socials, or if you can find the link and include it,
it's
shout out to Eric Villar Filarski Brothers Racing. Like, that is one of the best videos
It's so
ever.
good. It's iconic. It is iconic now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, having that ability, and then that's one thing that, as a wrong seater that I have to do. I have to be able to know when to push a driver versus when to rein them in.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's going to be guys that I just have to trust 100% that they know their car. But like when I'm racing with a newer team or somebody that's not as familiar with racing in the hammers, that's one of the things that they rely on is me to be like, okay, hey, am I in control? Am I pushing too hard? Is this a finishing pace? Is this a top 20 pace? Or am I in it to win it? And so being able to control a driver is one of those things that you have to have the ability to do from the wrong seat.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation before with you. It's like, you got to adapt your style to that driver, and what they want called out, what they don't, that communication, and it's like a language, right? Like a different language with every driver. And so talk about that. I mean, you've had arguably some great drivers over the years, right? That you've been in that right seat with, the wrong seat, whatever you want to call it. Not driving, but navigating and keeping their head in the game. So now that you've got that experience, and new drivers come up to you or ask you questions, I mean, you probably got a little Rolodex of questions in your head that you immediately, like you just said, like, are we winning this thing? Are we just going for a top 20? But like, how do you vet out? How do you figure out what language you're going to use with this particular driver?
So for me, it's a living document.
Okay.
It's there's been a couple times where I'll race with the same driver year after year after year. Being in the car with Trent 2 years in a row really helped. Pre-running with Trent really helps. But the biggest thing for me is learning what they actually want. There are navigators out there that are like my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to give you rally turns. And for those that don't know, it's, like if it's a right-hand turn, it's R1 through R6. R6 is, and the way that I've heard it related is that, most rally cars are 6-speed cars. And so an R6 would be, you don't have to take your foot off the throttle. You might have to put some input, but you're not doing any, like, you're not even really going to know that it's there, but I have to tell you that it's there. Exactly. Then, you step down to an R5 where you're probably going to let off the throttle and there's going to be some steering input. You get down into an R3 and that's like, a 45 to 50 degree corner. You're definitely going to be on your brakes. There's going to be something in the corner that you need to be worried about, all the way down to like an R1 where you are making a U-turn and you will be in first gear coming out of this.
Right.
And so I personally love those calls because it's very intuitive and it's very hard for me to mess up. Like when you're reading the GPS, like how something looks, like is it a medium right? Is it an easy right? Like I don't know which one to call. And even if unless you mark every single corner, which becomes unrealistic when you only have like 2 or 3 days to pre-run. So being able to just put like, I can look at the gradient of the corner at a specific zoom level and say, okay, this is going to be an R3. And then when we go pre-run, I can verify whether it's an R3 or an R4 and make a change.
I see.
Whereas if you just call medium right, like what's a medium right?
Yeah.
But some drivers don't like that. And then, like I said, so I personally tailor my navigating to whatever my driver wants.
Right.
If my driver wants me to sit down, shut up, don't say anything until something's wrong. Got it.
Just wants you to pull winch cable if we need it.
Pull winch cable, and if I haven't started slowing down for a really bad corner, then let me know that I'm being an idiot.
Right.
All the way up to I need every 15 seconds, I need you to tell me the temperature of the motor. I need you to inform me of the next waypoint, even if it's a mile and a half away. Okay. So I tailor whatever I need. And then, like I said, there are other navigators that are, if you want me in the car, it's going to be this way. And that's, if you think that that's the way that it needs to be, then cool. I personally won't do that.
I got it. That makes sense. So,
I mean, traveling at 100 miles an hour, a mile and a half is only, 15 seconds or something?
yeah, across the desert.
But the amount of time that you're at triple digits and King of the Hammers is so small. And realistically, like, I did the calculations on, like, Melville, where you can get up to 120 or 130. If you do 130, you're basically clapped out on the raggedy edge of everything going bad. And you gain, if I remember right, it was like 20 seconds.
Wow.
Over a 3-mile section of somebody that's doing 75 to 90.
Sure.
Right? So the gains are not there, but all of the potential problems are there.
Got it.
So risk reward.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then that comes into what's my driver want. If my driver wants to hit 137 miles an hour and be able to just post a picture of their GPS that says, hey, I hit 137 miles an hour, and that's going to get them that's going to get them whatever they need to accomplish, then great. Then that's what I'm going to let them do.
Yeah. That's just a momentary thing. It's not the entire snapshot. It's not happening the entire race. It's happening in a very brief moment of time.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Sub 3 minutes in over 6 hours.
Yeah. Fuck. It's a long game. Yeah. It's a long game.
So, you guys are golfers. You have to play to be able to get through to the 18. And,
sure.
And sometimes you have to take the short pitch.
Yep.
To set up your next shot.
Take the bogey or whatever it is. Take your medicine.
I just break my clubs and walk off after the third hole.
Yeah, or
straight up Happy Gilmore, chuck that club straight into the water.
Shot of scotch, yeah. So, I mean, and talk about risk. I mean, this comes without risk to you too. Being you don't have a wheel in front of you or gas or a brake. You are not in control of the vehicle. Yes, you can help control the driver, but there's got to be some vetting process too, where you're just not going to hop in the right seat with anybody, because you got a family. You don't want to die. Nobody wants to die out there. But there's definitely a huge risk, and there's got to be those conversations with the driver too. I know, as I'm a driver, just wreck wheeling. And everybody's like, I want to ride. And I'm like, okay, well, just buckle up. Let's make sure everything's good, because I'd feel like dog shit if somebody got hurt, while
Medusa. Medusa.
Something went south. Yeah, and I've asked passengers to leave the right seat, and Chris got out of the right seat at Hammers last year with me, which was actually a really good decision. But anyways, you that definitely has to cross your mind too.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of those things that you always ask. What seats do you run? What harnesses do you run? Who built your chassis? How long have you been driving? What is your experience? Those are all the things. Mm-hmm. And if I've straight up told drivers before, like, look, I
don't feel
come talk to me when you have a little bit more experience.
Mm-hmm.
And there are drivers that I just won't get in the car with anymore after they've reacted certain ways. But in a little, to kind of, you're right, I don't have a steering wheel and I don't have a brake. But just about every race car that I've ever been with has the transmission shifter within reach. And every driver that I've ever gotten a car with has said, if you stop knows for 100% fact that if you stop listening to me and you're putting my life in jeopardy, there's 3 things. I didn't build this car. I didn't pay for this car, and I'm not paying for the repairs.
Right.
But I can put that car in park really quick.
Yeah.
And I will not hesitate to literally throw, if I know that my belts are good, I know that the chassis is good, I know that the harnesses are good, I will go from 100 to park rather than put my life in jeopardy for another mile.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there's definitely a vetting process, though.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked away in the middle of a race?
No, I won't ever quit mid-race.
You vet that out
but
beforehand.
Like I said, yeah, there are drivers that at the end of the race that I have said, I will not race with you anymore.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Appreciate the time, but please don't contact me again.
Lose my number.
10-4. So let's talk about safety of the car for a minute, because I know that there's been some lively discussion on Rock Sports Insiders on the Facebook about tube diameter and chassis being grandfathered / not grandfathered, and going from what, 1.75 inches. I guess there's a rumor going around that it's a 2-inch tube now, or with whatever wall diameter or wall thickness is required. Where does that all stand, and what do you know?
So I know that I was a chief tech inspector when the weight requirements for specific tube diameters was instituted as a recommendation, with a following on it would be required for any new car build. Any car that was raced prior to was allowed to be banded. That gets into a lot of drama on the side of things about whether. So if a car is grandfathered and it had Spider Trax axles and 37s and, a 200-pound driver, and now it's a 250-pound driver on junkyard 60 and 14 bolts on 42s, trying to race the, 4400 class, is that the same car? My personal opinion, and I've posted this many times on Rock Sports Insiders, and even when I was the chief tech inspector, I personally think that the weight to tube diameter, if it is going to be instituted and upheld, then the correct way to do it is race weight, not tech weight, which means you have to show up with a full tank of fuel, you put your driver and your navigator in, and you have all your spares and your breakdown triangles and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get your race weight. And then at the start line, when we're in the lineup, you deploy 3 teams with scales and you randomly choose. You start off with 50% of the cars. And you have them park on the scale the day of. And if you don't match the weight that you scaled in previously within a specific percentage, or you don't meet the requirements, you get parked and you get a DQ, plain and simple. Make it hurt.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to be legitimately for safety, if it's going to be, we are doing this for driver and navigator protection, then it needs to be race weight, not I pulled out my axle shaft and I put 1 gallon of fuel and I don't have my spare.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not an idiot. There are teams that send people like myself through tech and contingency as the driver because I'm 5'8", and he put a helmet on me and I got 18 inches of clearance between the roof.
Right.
But then that 6'4" driver gets in and now he's kind of maybe not there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that if I personally think that we need to prioritize driver safety and navigator safety, and the teams need to be the one to regulate themselves, not USAC, not Ultra 4. If you believe that your car is safe, they have rules that allow you to get engineering drawings stamped by somebody with a PE, professional engineer license, and say, yes, this chassis is safe. We believe that it will, do everything that it needs to do. And if you want to do that, then that's on you as a racer, not the organization. And, I honestly think that nobody likes this opinion, but I personally think that chassis should have a shelf life.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's been racing for 10 years, how many of the guys are tearing it all the way down, magnafluxing it, checking for cracks, making sure that chassis is 100% safe?
Yep.
Well,
there are probably some guys that do it. Yeah. And I don't know enough about, Formula One, NASCAR, NHRA, Top Fuel, that kind of stuff. But I would be remiss to believe that you could show up to a NASCAR race at the top tier, and that's what Ultra 4 is, right?
Yeah,
if Ultra 4 is considered the top tier race, you wouldn't be able to show up to a NASCAR Sunday race with a chassis that's 15 years old. At least I can't imagine that you would be able to. I don't know for sure, but
unless it's been certified, gone through what you just said, magnafluxed and X-rayed or whatever magic shit they do to test all the steels. But we do know that, the structural forces that these these vehicles sustain or during a race, whether it's NASCAR or NHRA. I mean, they're extreme, man.
Yep.
I mean,
for Ultra
And to be
4
clear,
is the ultimate.
well, it is
Yeah.
the ultimate, but I mean, everything's the ultimate. I mean, NASCAR is ultimate in its own way, and of course, NHRA. I think you and I had a conversation, and this dated me pretty bad. It's like I said, "Oh, these NASCARs, you know, or NHRA dragsters, the top fuel dragsters." I said, "Yeah, they're like 3,500, 4,000, 5,000 horsepower," and somebody's like, "Dude, you're so 2,000 and late. They're like 10,000 horsepower
Mhm.
now."
Mhm.
Which is that's why they went from a quarter mile to an eighth of a mile, because these things were, by the time at that horsepower level at a quarter mile, they'd be doing like 800 miles an hour or something.
It evolves. Everything
Yep.
evolves, and with any racing, how can we make it faster, stronger, better? You know, and I agree 100% because this sport has grown so much. Ultra 4 has, and you know, we don't want to see anybody get hurt out there. You know, we've seen it happen. With Rufus and whatever it is, but we want everybody to get back to the campfire that night, and there's no reason to be running a clapped out, Toyota on leaf springs. I mean, it's an analogy, but think about where this thing's evolved from where there was, leaf spring vehicles doing the first, it took us an hour and a half to do outer limits, when now they're doing it in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, with these crazy chassis. So it brings a good point.
To be 100% clear, I don't think that this should be on Dave Cole.
No.
I don't think it should be on JT. I don't think it should be on USAC. I don't think it should be on any of the sanctioning bodies. We as racers need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, do I feel that I'm going to be able to get home safely? Because I have friends, I have family, I have whatever that actually want me to be home. And there's not a single racer out there that doesn't have at least one person in their life that wants them to come back from that race.
Yeah, but isn't naming no names, isn't there anybody that you can think of that's kind of the wild dog out there that doesn't march to the beat of anybody but himself? I mean, is there anybody you can think of, Chris, that would be like, no, I'm not, I'm just going to race it because I'm here to have fun and whatever?
I'm sure there are, but again, put it on us racers.
Yeah.
We're the ones that have the ability. Red cards don't have to be just for, you crossed the line. If somebody actually shows up for in an unsafe car, like no offense to these guys. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
So Hell's Bells is a car that I don't feel safe being on course with because I can't nerf them. And they create so much dust that they're not going to see.
It's a monster
and the last
truck.
thing that I need them to do is I go flying past them at 80, 90 miles an hour, and that's right when, and I make the decision to go left, and their navigator right at the last minute goes, oh crap, there's a car behind us, and the driver turns into the left lane that I'm in. Right? And they're on 54-inch tires or whatever it happens to be. There's nothing for me to nerf. There's nothing for me to hit. And I love those guys. Those guys have been amazing competitors every single year that I've ever competed against them. But there are definitely times where I'm on course where I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable being on course with these guys. For a long time, I didn't feel comfortable being on course with a UTV. But now they're so stupid fast, and the closing speeds are not what they used to be, that I don't think that it's a game changer that a UTV is racing in the same class as a 4400.
But what if the UTV is broken down in a dust storm and you can't see it and you crash into it?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the same as if I crashed into a Gomez brother on the side. The only difference is that I'm going to move that car a little bit further.
Yeah.
It's still going to be just as dangerous for me. It's still going to be just as dangerous for them. If the chassis is safe, if they've done all of their homework, so let's say it's not a UTV. Let's say that the driver that I'm with has been known to push the envelope of car builds. And let's say that he showed up in something that had a smaller motor and 37-inch tires and weighed 3,000 pounds. but wasn't UTV based. It was LS based, and instead of or whatever happened to be.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that person built something that wasn't UTV based but weighed 2,700 pounds. Should that person, because it's not UTV, should that person be not allowed to race?
Yeah.
If they meet all the safety standards, then I have no problem being on the course with them.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It kind of, this conversation conjured up the days of the Pirates of the Rubicon, running little sleuths and stuff, and just where the sport has evolved, right? Like those days, love them, hate them, whatever, but they're gone, and we've got so much technology now, and to make ourselves safer, and utilize it, embrace it. And then it's a whole nother podcast talking about side-by-sides racing with, Hell's Bells.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, a side-by-side could probably drive under Hell's Bells.
Right. But I mean, the two crazy extremes there, but these are all things and challenges of the growing pains of this, sport. And, you being out there on the track, it's one thing being a spectator watching this and seeing Hell's Bells roll up to the line and we're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Hell's Bells. But being a competitor, you're basically in a smart car next to Hell's Bells if you're going neck and neck out there in the desert, and that's an issue. And how do we solve that? How does that happen? Because we want everybody to race and compete and stuff, but definitely we need to tighten in those reins. And I've seen racers get more, safety conscious, and the nights of sitting around a campfire drinking and waking up hungover and hopping in the race car are diminishing. And so, because the sport has grown so much and so fast, and if you want to be competitive, you need to be in that mindset. But yeah, those are all crazy, points from you being right there on the race course. I've known about it, I've heard about it, but hearing you talk about it, it just really underscores it. And it's like, okay, we need to pay more attention to this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but one thing that I absolutely love is the fact that Ultra 4 is still basically unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to get to the point where we have NASCAR stock cars at Ultra 4 where everybody's in the same chassis and it's just a different fiberglass body.
Right.
And the motor, I love the ingenuity that the guys like from UFO and the Gomez brothers, the guys, Randy out of Jimmy's, the Campbells, all, just everybody being able to go out and compete with what they think is the best weapon for that day. And
and who's the driver that built that has the race car with 4-wheel steering now? I mean, it's just Horschel, right? Paul Horschel. I mean, it's like you said, unlimited. The sky's the limit. You can, if you can dream it, think it, and pay for it, you can race it. And that's cool.
Not the first guy to race 4,400 in an IFS IRS car with rear steer either, if you know.
Right.
So Pete Antonek from Australia in the Ultra 10.4 actually had one of the first finishes in an IFS IRS car that had rear steer.
It's a mouthful. Yes, it's got all the good stuff going on.
All the letters.
All the acronyms. So, with all this said, leading up to it, you announced it on IG. But if anybody's still in the dark, living under a rock, who you riding with this KOH 2025?
So I'm doing all 3 days of racing. At least right now. I'm back in the UTV car with Trent Roberts again.
Cool.
Car 4811 with TWC Racing.
Sweet.
Fantastic driver, just salt of the earth guy. I just spent 3 more days with him this last weekend. Thanksgiving, awesome family, just great dude. I would never hesitate to get in a car with him ever.
So that's Thursday.
That's Thursday. And then at the end of KOH last year, Justin Hall reached out to me. I had a big ticket item that I was waiting on, and I had to wait until around September to be able to talk to Justin about it. But Justin called dibs on me if I wasn't going to be racing with that particular team. And so when that team was not going to be the 25 race. I let him know, and he said yes, and didn't even let me finish the text message conversation with him before he had already, and if you go look at Justin Hall's Instagram, he actually, I'm literally peeing on it.
Right.
And so he claimed me for the Everyman Challenge. And then I was scheduled to race with a guy by the name of Zach Savage, who I raced with last year. He was a rookie last year in the 4,400 class. And but
let me,
because of...
If I can interject real quick before you go on to 4,400. So that's Friday with Justin Hall. And Justin Hall has been a single driver for years. So
that's correct.
Having a right seat in this new chassis that he's been working day and night with.
Brand new car.
And you've known Justin for a long time, and he's definitely passionate about the sport and building a car from scratch and racing it competitively. It's going to be exciting to see him this year in a brand new car with, that's been upgraded,
two-seater.
That's Shock Jesus, Liberty Mountain fab there. Great chassis. Super cool. I got to see that car before he took delivery of it. So, freaking awesome. I love this partnership too for Friday, but I just had to interject that.
Yeah, I am beyond excited. I've been talking with Justin since back before he built his first single-seater 4,500 car, back when he used to race the two-seat cars. And I just never got to race with him, unfortunately. And then he had the single-seat car. And, as much as I love Justin, I'm not going to sit on his lap.
Not going to sit his lap.
So
that's a good call.
But no, Justin's, again, I try to make sure that I partner with guys that are, or girls. I try to make sure I partner with teams that are not just in it to win it,
right?
But also people that I will call a friend, and not be like, okay, well, I'm going to show up on race day and then just pretend that you don't exist for another 364 days.
Right.
So, Justin's got his kid, his wife, he helped me out with my Ram Charger to get me on the Rubicon for Jeepers Jamboree back in 21. Just amazing dude. And just an even better driver. The fact that he's been able to pull off what he does as a single seat is amazing. And now with, a second person in the car being able to say, hey, this is going to be straight over the crest, or this is, you're going to go, there's a rock right, all these things that he's had to memorize 160 miles of race course.
Yeah. His experience.
So I'm really looking forward to riding with him.
Yeah. In the same car is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, assuming that we all have to have the race god smile on us, and especially with the new car, who knows what he's going to be chasing that week, and whether he gets the test before he shows up. But that's also part of why. So originally, and trying to loop back in, I was originally going to be racing with Zach Savage, but then during SEMA week, I got hit up by 2 different people that said, hey, are you riding with somebody for 4,400? Because this other person that I know needs a navigator. And I told them, I'm like, I'm already committed, but who is it? Just because I think I know who you're going to be asking, but I don't know for sure. And it turned out to be one of my childhood idols, 3-time King of the Hammers winner, Ormhoff inducted Shannon Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, I peed my pants a little bit and thought, how did I get so lucky that somebody like that wants me to fill their wrong seat? What did I do? Because, I know that I have, accomplished a lot in the wrong seat, but I still feel like I haven't accomplished anything. I don't feel like I'm some, really important person. I don't look at myself as a Jason Berger. I don't look at myself as a Erica Sachs. I don't consider myself that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to really pinch myself that, the Shannon Campbell was asking me to fill his wrong seat. And then I had to have a real deep reflection about the fact that I was already committed to drivers and say, okay, how am I going to make this work? Because I can't say no to a person that I idolized throughout the 90s in Peterson's and Four Wheel Parts and Four Wheeler Magazine and Top Truck Challenge and the early 2000s when I was, drooling over everything that had to do with Warren Rock Crawling Championships and UROC and ARCA and everything like that. So I had to have very serious conversations with Justin. And then I had to have a very serious conversation with Zach Savage. And I said, look, like, it's not because he's a better driver than you. It's not because he's got a better car. It's not because I'm going to get more fame. It's not because of anything other than the fact that if I don't do this, 13-year-old me is going to find some way to come punch me in the face.
Well said.
That's what it's all about.
So Justin was straight away ready to go. He's like, look, I'm going to have a new car. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get all the pre-running in. So being able to go pre-run with somebody like Shannon, we know you're going to get miles in, and that's going to make my team, me, and bring my value to Justin even higher. Obviously Zach was like, well, I don't want to lose you. And I'm like, I know you don't, but literally 13-year-old me is going to punch me. And then he's probably going to find you and just nut tap you really hard.
Wow.
And Zach, again, salt of the earth guy from North Carolina. And he was like, look, if you can help me find a navigator, then we can make this work. And so I made a phone call to Justin Andrews from Factor 55, which you guys can't see it on the audio, but I'm pointing to my Factor 55 hat.
Yeah.
And he was like, we can make it happen. And he put me in touch with Brad from Warren Industries, who filled the wrong seat for AK Chaos AK in the old Von Gittin Jr. Bronco.
Bronco.
And so he got the previous rookie, because AK was a rookie last year. He got him into a top 20 finish. And I'm like, look, Zach, he's got Warren Industries. He's got the experience of getting a rookie across the finish line. Like, he's going to be a great partner for you. Let's make this happen. And so fortunately, Brad was able to take my seat and work with Zach for this particular race. And then fingers crossed, I'll still get to ride with Zach in the future, but who knows? But yeah, so because of some conversations that happened at SEMA, because of everything else, Shannon reached out. People reached out to me on behalf of Shannon, and we were able to make it happen. And now I get to ride with legitimately one of my idols.
So how much have you talked to him since SEMA?
We've had a couple conversations, but honestly, it's just I talked to him and I said, hey, when are you coming out to test and pre-run? And he said, I'm potentially coming out there to do some motor work with FTA Inc., Josh. And if we do, then we'll do some test and tune then. But realistically, it's Shannon fucking Campbell. I mentioned before, like, there's certain drivers that I'm just going to be along for the ride, and I'm literally telling them nothing but course. I'm not telling them, oh, you need to go a little bit passenger here, or you need to go driver here, or hey, did you feel that rock hit your diff? Like, let's not do that again.
Right.
Because that dude has more experience than I'll ever have driving.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
And I am literally just there to make sure that he doesn't run the same rock trail 3 times.
Yeah, because he's self-admittedly, he's like, I can't. Yeah, I can't see the course.
You'll be a true navigator. I mean,
yeah. I have joked with people. There's a very real possibility I'm going to get a seeing, like, one of those canes for blind people.
Oh fuck.
And when we do qualifying, I'm going to have a big pair of sunglasses over my helmet, and then I'll use the cane to turn left and turn right. And but
that might get you thrown out of the car.
So you guys might have seen my Instagram. On Ultra 4 Escort, I posted a video of an old school rally. Video's got to be a decade plus old, and it's a navigator who literally has just like this mini little kid steering wheel, and he's sitting there going, and I tagged Shannon in it, obviously, and Justin and Trent. And Shannon was like, yes, we should do this. We'll have some fun and we'll make some good videos. And I honestly think, like, if you guys both know Shannon, but I don't know how many of your listeners have met Shannon. But if there's one person in the world that loves to party just as much as they love the race, it's that dude. And he wants to have fun just as bad as he wants to win.
Yeah.
For sure. No doubt.
Checkers or records. That's going to be fun. I'm loving I'm loving this duo too. It's
you need to be mic'd up and have a Starlink on the roof. I mean, seriously, this could be like internet gold.
if he wants to put the Starlink in, I am fully down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to because I haven't ridden with him. And again, it's just like Justin Hall. It's a guy that was in a single seat for years on end. Now has moved to a 2-seat car. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he wants out of me in the car. I've had a lot of conversations with Justin, and we've talked about rally notes and that kind of stuff. And so,
because that's going to be new for both of you, for Justin and you, of having a right seat and because Justin probably doesn't even know what he really wants, having a right seat ever.
Yeah, he's like, I have no idea what I want, and I'm like, we'll figure it out the first two or three times that we're in the car.
But here's
I'll start off with overload. Hey, you have a waypoint. You have cross grain in 1,000 feet. You have cross grain in 500 feet. You have cross grain in 250 feet. You're entering your cross grain. Your next after cross grain is bumps.
Mm-hmm.
You have an R3 turning into an R2, decreasing radius to R4. All these different things that I can start playing with. And literally, he's probably going to look over at me and go, Chris, too much.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Shut the fuck up.
You need a baseline,
and I'll be like, done.
Yeah.
And then once I set, exactly like Chris said, once I set that baseline, then I can know, okay, hey, this is where I need to be. And the real fun part is I get to do it with 3 different drivers, 3 different days in a row, for actually 6 different days in a row, because I got to do qualifying 3 days and then race 3 days. And so I have to remember which driver wants which level.
Well, and that's going to be challenging. But I mean, you're up for the tax. You've had experience, right? And so this is what's going through my mind as you're explaining all this. Is like, I mean, you're just going to have to dial to Trent and go, okay, I'm on Trent's frequency, and here we go. And then Justin, you guys are going to have to figure that out, because that's going to be a learning for both of you. And then Shannon, another learning deal, but it's going to be pretty freaking cool, because I think you already know your role there. It's just keep him on fucking course and just let him drive. He knows how to drive. We've seen that over the years. That's proven. So it's going to be interesting to, you already know what you're going to do, but you're going to be able to adapt with your experience and everything. And it's going to be, that's going to be a wild ride that week, man. Literally.
Yeah. The really good thing with Shannon and racing with Shannon is he has a lot of time in 2-seat cars in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
He built his first Class 1 4-wheel drive 2011-ish, I think.
Yeah.
2010 was when he built that IFS car. Ryan Miller will probably correct me at some point, because that man is literally I've bounced my head off the concrete too many times racing my pedal bicycles. So I don't remember things the way that I should. But that man is like a steel trap. He picks up and remembers everything. He was like, oh yeah, it was this race on this day, and this is who we passed. But yeah, no, he's at least got a lot of time with a wrong seater.
Yeah.
Whereas Justin, for the better part of, I think, almost 5 years, has been nothing but single seat.
Sure. Yeah, so, man, that's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be great listening to these stories as they unfold on the desert floor.
Yeah, I'm just really fingers crossed that the race gods smile on us,
right?
Because they're you can't have a car like Shannon has and a driver like Shannon does and not still need a lot of luck.
Yeah.
And if the race gods smile on us, there's a very real possibility that we're going to be gunning for, Dan Fresh in the Laser Nut car and Randy and his solid axle and trying to unseat the Gomez brothers and making sure that Jason and Jason don't become
right.
The first
four-time kings right there.
This is the race to be a 4-time king. There's a whole bunch of people that are competing for that, and obviously there's a lot of hunger, and be a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? to be that four-time king is
the first 4-time king.
The first 4-time king.
And you still have, but you still have a lot of first-time kings that want to become a second-time king, and a lot of second-time kings that want to become third-time.
And the race last year was fun to watch as a spectator because there were so many changes to the lead, and then you throw the freaking golf cart in the mix, and it was like, holy crap, And I was kind of rooting for him. But then I'm like, there's no way a freaking, golf cart can win a 4,400 race. But it's going to happen one of these days, and we're all going to be eating crow. But
yeah, it definitely can happen. You just got to make sure that you don't miss the same trail twice.
Right. and then Shannon's new car. I mean, that thing's teed up to win. Just with those motor problems, it's like but it sounds like he's vetting all that stuff out. God, hopefully he doesn't have any issues with the motor this year. And
so this will be the second KOH for that car, that chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
correct. I believe it's the first year back on the small block, though. I got to double check.
Back to the small block.
If I remember right, he was going away from the big block.
Oh,
and that's what him and I believe. I could be speaking out of my ass. I don't remember. I don't typically talk tech with cars other than what harnesses and belts do you have and what GPS do you have.
Right.
Because if you have a lead nav, like, I love you, but I'm not. I don't like lead nav in a race. Yeah. And
I mean, he had to leave from Prairie City because he was having issues with his car.
Yeah.
And I know he's been struggling with that. I think it was oil pressure issue at Prairie City with the big block, and it's frustrating. I know he got back to the coupe within like less than 24 hours after he left Prairie City this past summer, and he had the car disassembled and the engine out. And he was trying to diagnose that and figure out what went wrong. Obviously, that's disappointing, and you want to make sure that's all hashed out when you get to the big dog race like KOH. So, hopefully, he's got it all figured out. You guys have a super cool run, and like I texted with you before, you guys are on the goddamn podium, baby.
I told my wife, or actually, my wife wants us to finish fourth. Because right now I have a first in 46 and a third in 45, and so I have a podium in 2 out of 5 classes. If I get a podium in a third class, now I can't stop racing KOH until I have a podium in every class. And she just looked at me and went, no.
Oh, come on.
So,
man, she should be your best promoter and rooting.
Oh, she is 100%. She was joking, and
good.
She does eventually listen to these podcasts. And Morgan, I know that you're listening, and I love you. And honestly, like, everybody talks about it. I could not do what I do if it wasn't for her. We have 2 daughters, 4 and 18 months old.
Oh my!
And this whole weekend I was out doing race car stuff, and she's back at camp making sure that the kids are good and fed and taken care of, and not really getting to go have a lot of fun. And she has to deal with me being gone for 2 weeks, and she's the sole caregiver for the 2 kids. For that time, like, I legitimately could not do what I do without her support and her love, and for that I will be eternally grateful.
Yeah,
we've talked about it numerous, and that's absolutely correct. I mean, you need a support network to do what you guys do, and whether it's you're a wrong seat guy, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you're part of the team, and everybody needs to step up, and the support network that makes that all happen is super important. So, yeah, absolutely.
So being out on Johnson, it's just fresh. You still got Johnson Valley dirt on you. So what do you see in this year? Anything? And then what little insights do you have on the trail? Because Dave always throws a curveball in it, and wants to make it harder and make the teams work for it more, but. What's kind of your thoughts?
Making him finish in the dark.
Yeah, what's your thoughts going into KOH 2025 here, just coming fresh off the desert?
So the fact that the UTV race was finished before lunch.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the 4600 or the 4400 race, the Race of Kings, was done before 2:30.
Yep.
Last year. I have a very funny feeling that Dave is going to throw us just straight under the bus.
Yeah.
That you can't claim to have the hardest one-day off-road race in the world and have more than 50% finishing and have your winners done in 6.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I honestly expect Dave to throw the book at us. There was an email that was sent to drivers that we only have one remote pit and main pit.
Right.
And so I have postulated that we are going to do a 50 to 60 mile desert loop with no remote pit, and then come into main pit and then go out for the rocks. And then the 4,400 race is going to do that same desert loop again, and then go back out for a fourth lap on the rocks.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because I cannot come up with a way to run a 60-ish mile rock lap and not have a remote pit where remote pit 2 is.
Uh-huh.
Because then you're going to get to, sub 20% finish rate, because you don't have people to fuel, you don't have spare tires, you don't have anything for the rock lap. And I can't fathom a way to have main pit be your rock lap pit.
Sure.
I can't come up with a way. Dave, mastermind that he is, probably already has a way, but I can't come up with it.
Yeah.
But I can come up with a way to run a 50 to 60 mile desert lap that literally just goes out and comes back to main pit.
So you're talking about a 200 plus mile race.
We're already there most of the way.
Yeah.
We're 190-ish for
But you're
the
like
4,400
talking
race last year.
225, 230.
Yeah. I figured it'd be about 220 if you did it right. You'd probably do the desert lap in the 50-ish side, because a lot of people have there's still people that have, sub 32 gallon fuel cells.
Mm-hmm.
And, even with a healthy LS and race trim, you're looking at 3, maybe 4 miles to the gallon. So you can't really send them on a 85 mile desert loop for lap 1 without some kind of potential for fuel, which is, in my opinion, why we've always had a remote pit 1.
Right.
Well, you just need to work out more and be like Jason Berger and be able to carry gas, 10 gallons of gas for 5 miles on your back there, Chris.
Right.
I mean, everybody can do it. It's just a matter of how fast.
Yeah.
And Randy Slauson had the year that he won when they were getting, 2 miles of the gallon or sub 2 miles of the gallon when Mike had to carry fuel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's been done more times than people care to say. But like I said, that's kind of my thought process. I don't know how realistic it is, and I'm sure if Dave ever listened to this, he's probably face palming and going, "Chris, you're an idiot. Just shut the fuck up." But I think that would be really fun, because a lot of the checkers or wreckers type, you throw an extra 50 to 60 miles of just 100% desert in there, and they're not going to finish.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see what they throw at us. But I think that Dave's going to try to set up a really hard course, maybe more up than down this year, so that we can really sort out, the old saying, the men from the boys.
Right.
And see who's going to be able to actually, get across the finish line because they're the best driver, not because they had the best luck.
Right.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But
it's always fun to get out. I get out every Thanksgiving and New Year's, and just go run the trails up and down. Like last 2 or 3 years, we ran down outer limits and up spooners. So I'm focusing on down spooners, up outer limits, because those trails are going to be in the race. And I'm very fortunate that I save all of my notes. So like this year, when we went down spooners, I was looking at my notes from last year where I had a, stay left, rock, avoid right. And because I'm going down now, stay left is stay right. And I'm just checking them off and going, yep, that's still right. Yep. Okay. Yes. That bypass is still the best way. Because as much as everybody wants to say, stay in the rocks, like, yeah, I'm going to stay in the rocks to the legal limit.
Right.
And if I get If the canyon is the limit, then I'm going to go find whatever the fastest way is, because I'm out here to win. I'm not out here to rock crawl.
Right.
And so like so last year was a perfect example of this. Like we were getting ready for the race. And we had to they added 2 VCPs, one at the bottom of Clawhammer and one at the halfway through Blue Dot. And I was so mad because I was ready to turn left at the bottom of Claw, drive out in the desert over to Big Johnson, up to Sandhill for Big Johnson, completely bypass Blue Dot and Clawhammer and Nightmare and Thor's Hammer 100% because I was going to be within the legal limit. And I'm out there to win. I'm out there to give my drivers the best chance of getting the checkered flag. And if I can skip 4 rock trails within the legal limits and do that, you bet your damn ass, I'm going to get it done.
Sure.
So it's been fun to see that. And we'll go see, I'm going to go spend some time on Aftershock in 1920 and some of the other notable trails. And then I'm going to look back at some of my other maps and say, okay, hey, this is a rock trail that we haven't run in this direction in a while. Let's make sure that we go put eyes on it. And then usually Dave does his live feed TV show in the first week of January.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll be able to create a map and already have all of my, straight over crests, rock right, rock left, all my desert notes and all of my rock notes. I'll just core dump onto the map that I create, based off of the live feed. And then, that'll allow me to hopefully get some extra pre-running in, the 3 weeks leading up to the race.
There you go. What's your prediction on? Because the spectator areas that they've really noodled down from. People can't just go wherever they want anymore. So you have Backdoor, you have Chocolate Thunder, and then you have what's the trail is
Jack and Sledge.
Jack and Sledge. What's your prediction on for Backdoor? Dropping or climbing or what?
I don't think we'll ever go up Backdoor again. Yeah. It's not right. Anybody who's racing for a win is going to pull cable.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's racing for a finish is going to pull cable, because the risk versus reward for trying to shoot Backdoor, like everybody can look at themselves and pat themselves on the back and go, yeah, I tried to drive it. Well, cool. You were parked there for 6.5 hours while I went and got my checkered flag.
Yeah.
Cool. You can call me a pussy. You can call me a pansy. You can call me any name under the sun. I don't care. Again, I'm out there to get to the checkered flag and try to do it faster than anybody else.
Right.
And I want to make sure that my drivers do that. So I can't imagine that we would race up Backdoor, just because that trail you're going to have spectators more frustrated with it going up than they will going down.
Well, they love to see the cars just launch it off a Backdoor and, land on 4 wheels in the sand area just past it. That's exciting, obviously. So, and it's more than likely is going to be part of the qualifying course too. So it's going to get a lot of, Backdoors always gets a lot of exposure, whether it's during race time or if it's at nighttime.
As much as I wish that there was more spectator areas, like I wish that we still had Cougar Buttes open.
Yeah.
The problem is that the spectators are ruining it. Every single year, Hammer King has to deal with a phone call to BLM or CHP or any of the number of acronym people that are monitoring the race and saying that spectators are not where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way that Hammer King Productions and Ultra 4 USA can monitor and police 100,000 acres.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
It's impossible.
And so until the spectators look themselves in the mirror the same way that the racers need to about the safety, when the spectators actually look at themselves and say, look, if I wasn't such a jackass trying to drive out to the middle of nowhere and getting run over, I have almost squashed a razor.
Yeah.
When Jesse and I raced in 2018, I had dirt bikes and Jeeps on Clawhammer on active race course. And they looked at me as I pulled through and I said, guys, what are you doing on race course? They said, we're not on race course. I said, yes, you are.
You are.
They said, no, we're not. This isn't race course. I was like, it is today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not tomorrow. Maybe it's not for Race of Kings, but it is today.
Right.
And so until the spectators can look themselves in the mirror and say, look, I want to be as safe as possible, we're going to have restricted and it's going to get even worse.
Yeah.
Because, I rest in peace, the kid that lost his life, in the early part of the week last year. If that happens during race day, we're done.
Yeah.
The insurance is going to go through the roof. It's going to be we're not going to be able to afford to race anymore.
Well, Chris, I mean, it's kind of like you get out there, we're out there for a week, you're out there for a couple of weeks or whatever. But I mean, it's like the Wild West, and I mean, I can remember the first year I went, I think was 2014, 15. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember trying to go out I was with a buddy and we were in his Jeep and we were going to go out and spectate out, not near outer, further out, not maybe outer limits or one of the further out trails. And that was the first year they were blocking people out in the desert. They said, nope, we're not allowing anybody past this point. So we ended up turning around and going back to not backdoor, but Chocolate Thunder. We spectated at Chocolate Thunder for the rest of the event. But I mean, I feel like at this point, looking at my plan for this KOH, my son and I are going to drive down on Saturday and we're going to camp Saturday through Thursday, drive home Thursday, and then watch the race on TV Friday and Saturday. Because that's quite frankly the best way to watch the race now is with the live coverage.
Yeah. So I was on the lake bed for the first year, 2010, back when the live feed was from a creeper van from Pirate 4x4 with a satellite dish on the top of it and a main stage that was erected out of a 50-foot race trailer. Like the fact that you can see more of the race sitting in Hammertown than you can at any point. Like, yeah, sure, it's cool to be able to hear the cars go by and feel the roar, but you can see and achieve so much that if you're going to be there, just go find one of the jumbotrons.
Exactly.
Because you're going to get more of the race there than you will anywhere else.
Yep.
And you're not going to potentially endanger the lives of your own lives, and you're not going to endanger the lives of racers. I mean, I have a driver that I raced with that smoked a dirt bike in a trophy truck on race day.
Oh, I heard about that.
Like, he has to live with the fact that now every time that he goes down the Johnson Valley and races in that same specific area, he knows that he almost ended somebody's life there.
Mm-hmm.
And he drives totally different.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to us as racers. Just like it's not fair to the spectators that want to do it the correct way, all because some jackwagon thinks that they're better than everybody else and they know better than anybody else, and they're gonna be the safe ones. Those are the guys that you see, turn their hazards on and drive through the right-hand side of the emergency lane because they don't want to sit in 7 minutes of traffic.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And those are the people that, until one of the things that I loved about the early days of rock crawling was it was self-regulating.
Yeah.
You talk about Pirates of the Rubicon. You talk about the early days of Tin Benders. You talk about the, ugly rusty junk buckets and all and the why am I blanking on Phil's? The Rock Zombies.
Oh, Rock Zombies. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about the fact that those guys were the bastion of don't mess up my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, I'm going to make sure that you don't do it again.
Right.
we as Ultra 4, we as rock competitors need to get back to that space where we make sure that the people that are coming in get the education that they need so that they don't ruin it for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't care whether they're in a side-by-side
right,
or a dirt bike or a rock crawler or their Subaru or whatever. And we all know that Toyotas suck, even though I love
they're
Toyotas
Overlander
too.
with,
but,
yeah, rooftop tent.
Toyotas suck.
We have to get back to the point where we regulate our own.
That's a good point.
Because if not, some government agency is going to do it for us.
Yep,
exactly.
You're right.
You're 100% right.
No, that's a good
right.
good takeaway. Is just take care of your own shit, man, and be safe. And if you're racing a car that's not, in the back of your mind, deep down in your heart, is not as safe as it was, before, metal fatigue or whatever. Get it right, make it right, because lives are on the line out there. This has gotten such a big event now. Holy smokes.
Well, it's a 2-week event. I mean, you start out with King of the
3-week
Motos.
event, Chris.
3 weeks. King of the Motos, and then you got Trophy Truck weekend, and then, of course, you got the stuff we really care about, the Ultra Force stuff that's the last week of the event. And I mean, just so much going on. If you've never been to King of the Hammers, listeners, you've heard us talk about it for at least 5+ years on this show. It's a premier event. Registration is open now. You can go to kingofthehammers.com, I believe is the website, and you can find all the information. I think at this point in time we are where's the website?
Well, it says 55 on the website, I think.
52 on the website, but when this episode drops, it'll be 50 days. Gates open on the gates for the lake bed officially open on January 23rd of 2025. It's going to be badass. There's going to be a shitload of people there, and as we've experienced, you have phases. You got the moto people that show up and they're very interested in motorcycles. You've got the second weekend, which is the trophy truck people, which is when we are generally showing up on the lake bed. And then obviously the final week is the Ultra Force stuff with the different classes.
Race of the Kings.
Yeah. Race of the Kings. Chris, super cool. Thank you. Oh yeah, one more point you want to go
Lorenzo,
I've got one more thing before Lorenzo
does have a question.
Says, hey,
go ahead.
It's time to be done. I have a rant, and I know you guys love these.
Oh, we love rants.
Love rants. We haven't had a rant in a while.
Yeah, your guys' personal rant is like, hey, make sure your fire's out, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Don't just make sure your fire's out, but stop bringing fucking construction wood out to the desert and burning it.
Oh yeah.
I picked up a 5-gallon pail of nails.
Oh shit.
A 5-gallon pail of nails, and I could have kept going.
Yeah.
Stop burning pallets. Stop burning couches. Stop burning your camping chairs.
Yeah.
Stop burning all. Stop throwing. If you're an idiot who throws their can or their glass into the fire, I just stop, because it doesn't melt. It doesn't go away. It's just in the bottom of the fire.
Right.
And people like me have to go through and clean it, and it is absolutely infuriating. I
probably shouldn't
buy say it. Yeah, I want to buy a Vial or 3.
What are you drinking?
But it is just mind-boggling to me that people go out to recreate in this beautiful landscape and are willing to just leave pounds of trash in their fire and around their fire, and then the W kicks up and blows it 15 feet away from your camp, and then I got a 4-inch freaking carpenter's nail in my motorhome tire out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
So stop doing that, and if you see somebody doing that, punch them in the face and tell them no.
Tell them no.
Stop it. Stick their nose in it.
I'm glad you said that, Chris, because it's one of my concerns every single year. Now that this has been brought up, I'm probably going to meet a nail. This I've been lucky. And all the times I've been to KOH, knock on wood, I've never experienced a nail in one of my tires. I know that Chris Horton, he had a tire in his nail a few years ago.
A nail in his tire.
A nail in his tire, and he ended up going down to the BF Goodrich tent down there at the major intersection, and they were able to patch it for him on his Ram truck. But I mean that's an absolute great point. Stop bringing pallets and stop burning them, because those nails they don't rust away very fast.
Yeah, any construction wood, or like you say, couches, whatever. It's not the desert is not your fucking disposal site. Get rid of shit. Now you want to bring your Christmas tree, to King of the Hammers and burn? Fine, do that.
That one I love.
There's no
bring 50 of them.
Yeah, there's no nails, but don't bring anything that's going to leave debris in the desert. 100%. Yeah,
for sure, absolutely.
No, that's good. What? Wait, Lorenzo does have a question. Oh, he wants to know if you're going to be wearing Depends riding with Shannon Campbell.
That's why we have catheters.
It's going to be an e-ticket ride.
So
he's just going to send
as much as Shannon sends it, like already ridden with Lauren. I've been in a car with Randy Slauson for the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's any number of people that I've ridden with that are just as good a driver as Shannon Campbell. And so I don't, unless he just literally is blind and I tell him to turn right and he turns left, then I don't think that there's anything that he's going to do that another driver can't do.
Right.
And
right.
I got to relive a moment. My absolute biggest, scariest pucker moment ever in my life was riding. So you guys have driven Clawhammer and Wrecking Ball, and you know the way to get back to Remote Pit 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where the top of King's Veto is?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know how if you're not going down King's Veto, it's a pretty sharp decreasing right-hand turn. And it was 2004 before I left for the military, and I was riding in a 1985 4Runner on leaf springs with a brand new driver who had never been back there. And we went to go do a night run up, dusk run up Claw, and get back for, a late dinner. And I told her, I was like, hey, make sure you pay attention to this right-hand turn because it comes up on you quick and it's decreasing radius. So if you're not paying attention, it's bad. And this was 2004 before King's Veto was even a twinkle in somebody's eye. And she's going into that corner at 30, 40 miles an hour in a 4Runner because it's a nice flat little section leading up to that corner. And I was telling her, I was like, hey, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. And she's like, I got this. And I was like, no, you don't. And sure enough, we had to turn left after about 10 feet of right-hand turn and drove down into the bottom of King's Veto.
Wow.
Oh.
In a 85 4Runner on 35s and leaf springs front and rear, going down that canyon wall. And I have never, ever been in a race car and been as scared as I was during that event. And so, Shannon, if you listen to this, bring it. Try to scare me.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
No,
because
he's
I think it's so fun.
He drives. Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be great, though. I mean, yeah, you're riding with arguably one of the best drivers in Ultra 4, and
mic'd up.
And he knows his car. Obviously, he built it, and that's going to be a fun freaking e-ticket ride, man. It's going to be good. What a great week lined up for you with Trent, Justin, and Shannon. Man, that's exciting. I can't wait to watch this unfold and hear the stories.
So, if the race gods really smile on us, there's a very real potential I could have 3 podiums in 3 days.
Wouldn't that be insane?
And I want to report that on Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first.
Trent and I finished 7th in class, 34th overall, and we were down for over an hour and a half changing a belt because where the belt broke, we couldn't get off course.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's driver's side. So literally every 30 seconds to a minute, we had to stop working
and get out of the way
to clear out.
Yeah.
And after about the 7th car, we just said, we're done until it becomes clear for more than 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So and Trent's an amazing driver. The whole TWC racing crew is behind him 100%. So getting that car on the podium is a very real possibility for his second time driving. Then we got Justin Hall, who knows he's a contender every single year, even if he's a new car. And then obviously 3-time king, potentially 4-time king. And man, oh man, how sweet it would be to have my name on that Connex box out in Lasertown.
Hell yeah.
You got to visualize, manifest.
But shout out to Cody for putting the navigators on that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
On that Connex box, because there are so many people that we are just the forgotten. We're the long snapper of an NFL team.
Yeah,
who is
That's true.
Absolutely essential, but nobody can name. Nobody knows who they are, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm okay being a nobody. But it's really cool that Shannon or that Cody has put up the names of the navigators who have raced and won.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and it's becoming, more prominent.
What they say about the way you people are gifted? Oh, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, no.
That is my one. When Shannon asked me to navigate, I said, "Okay, I have one rule. I'm not as pretty as Jess, and I'm not giving you blowjobs in the middle of the desert."
Wow.
Well, there you go.
And
we give till it hurts here at Wheel and Wine and Whiskey, and we have an explicit label just for those comments. So good job. On that note, we should probably put a bow on this
is Lorenzo's hoof tapping going quickly before?
He's like, cut it off. He's waving his hooves over here. That's
Chris.
great. Man, Chris, great stories. I can't wait to follow up with you on the lake bed and after the lake bed of you're going to have a lot of stories to tell. So going to be freaking great.
I know we were texting back and forth about having a whiskey on the lake bed, but you're going to be pretty busy, man.
Yeah, it's going to have to be early in the week, early Monday, Sunday, Monday.
So one of the things that I'm making sure is I'm not running myself ragged like I did last year. I'm not missing out on Ultra 3 like I did last year.
Yeah, we passed each other like ships in the night in Hammertown. It was crazy. Yep. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, where are you going? You got time? Hey. No, I've already got 3 other teams that I need to go. I'm late. So it's one of those things that I am making sure that I'm not running myself ragged. So, but like my voicemail a couple weeks back, I am not on the train. I'm not on the wagon, or off the wagon, or whatever the term is. I am drinking just bourbon. It's very limited amounts. 1 drink a night instead of 12.
Sure.
So I am more, and I actually have a special bottle that I'm bringing to you guys.
Cool.
It is called, and rather fittingly, Navigator Kentucky Bourbon.
Oh, there you go.
It is and I actually have it brought up on the Bevmo website right now.
Okay.
It is a Kentucky bourbon that has floral notes with hints of fruit because it's finished in Cab Sauvignon casks for a unique and rich twist.
Oh, there we go.
So I tasted it this weekend with Trent and Shabs, and it is definitely good. But I think that you have to be more of a wine fan to enjoy it.
Okay,
and I am not a wine fan.
That's a cool bottle.
But the bottle is absolutely amazing. And I'm literally just going to fill it with Bullet as soon as it's empty. And just keep it because that bottle is so freaking cool.
That is a cool bottle. I just brought it up on my computer. I'm like, that's badass.
Yeah,
to look this up.
So, but I do have that bottle in my motorhome now, and it will be on the lake bed. And if there's any other wrong seaters that want to come have, a small snippet of bourbon with us, we're more than willing to share.
Sweet.
Okay.
Looking forward to it. Forward to it. Right on, Chris. Super cool. Thank you for coming on the show again. And just for reference point, I know Lorenzo looked it up, but you were on last time you were on the show, you were on episode 130.
130.
Nice.
So that's like
156 episodes.
286. 156.
Man, you're pretty good with numbers. Much faster than me.
That's why I'm an engine nerd.
Super cool. Well, and we'll be on the lake bed with you in like 50-something days, and looking forward to it. We'll have to get you and Shannon on the show. Hopefully, we can make that happen.
That would be cool.
And then beyond that, you got anything else?
I mean, obviously, I need to say thanks to beyond my wife and my family for all the support. I got to say thanks to Justin Andrews, Factor 55, the whole team at Warren. I have a guy that I've been pushing. His name's Chris Green of CPG Graphics. CPG Designs, who is painting a helmet for me. It's going to be a one-off custom painted helmet.
Cool.
So if anybody needs to kind of flare out their race kit, he's offering a deal right now to paint your helmet for $250, which is a screaming deal. I paid that in 1989 when I got my just the name Crankin' Chris on my BMX helmet.
Chris.
To be able to have a customized lid from that dude is, go look him up. He painted a a helmet for the Jesse Combs Foundation that got auctioned off at over $10,000.
That's cool.
The dude has talent. So
that's CNG Designs?
CP. P is in Paul. CPG Designs.
CPG.
His name's Chris Green. I shared his profile and page on Rock Sports Insiders. Obviously, you guys can look me up at Ultra 4 Escort.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, hit me up on Facebook, Christopher Rea, REA. And if anybody needs any help leading up to King of the Hammers, whether it's maps, whether it's GPS setup, whatever, let me know. I am dialing back my on lake bed help just because last year was the first year that I left the lake bed going, I don't know if I want to do this again. And it's because I helped over 25 teams.
Wow.
Besides the 3 teams that I was racing with, or 4 teams that I was racing with.
See, Jason, we're not the only ones that give till it hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you guys need help, hit me up early. We'll find some way to get you squared away and everything like that. Cody Wagner of, Laser Nut Laser Town. He's an awesome dude.
Yes,
if you haven't gotten out there, make sure you go check that out. And then obviously the Jesse Combs Foundation, keeping her memory alive.
Absolutely.
And making it sure so that my daughters can follow in her footsteps. So,
That's
and
cool.
I know she's a longtime guest of your podcast, but Amber, now Slauson, not Turner.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. But
Ultra 4 power couple.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to see those two battling it out for a podium in the same 4,400 race. So, but that woman right there is, in my opinion, the epitome of what Jesse wanted for the sport.
Right.
Absolutely.
Relies 100% on her skills, not her amazing looks.
Mm-hmm.
And is doing everything, in my opinion, that Jesse would have wanted. So, make sure you go give her a follow. And then other than that, just my drivers. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your teams.
Yeah. What a cool honor.
Very cool. Right on, Chris. Super cool. Thank you so much. And if you want to get a hold of Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, Jason or Chris, you can email Jason at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. You can email me, Chris, at wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. Don't forget about the IG, which is at Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. And, of course, we have that phone number, that wonderful phone number. Jason, what is that number, Jason?
408-800-5169. 408-800-5169. Give us a call, just like Cody, the albino sand squirrel.
Right on. And, of course, irate4x4.com, our good friend Austin set that site up and continues the tradition of online forums and discussion groups for off-roading enthusiasts. If you go to watch, listen, and discuss, you can see, you'll see Wheeling Wine and Whiskey there. Scroll past the other podcast.
Go past those other ones.
And then you can see all of our past episodes and, of course, links to, there's discussions for our shows. And don't ever forget about our website, www.wheelingwineandwhiskey.com. We go there, you'll see episodes, of course, but also links to our merch. And as I like to say during this time of the year, it's a wonderful time of the year. Holiday season. You want to put cool merch under the tree for your loved ones. Hoodies, koozies, hats, whatever, buffs. Go there, stickers. You can buy all that stuff and make sure you order early so it can be under your tree in time for the holiday, for Christmas Day.
Yes. Very well said, Chris. And Chris, thank you for being with us this evening. Great insight, intel. I'm looking forward to these stories to continue. KOH 2025. And with that,
we're out.
Cheers.
Nice.